Mark and Joey here with the Ultimate Sports Channel, ultimatesportschannel.com. And if you're coming here, you just sat through our intro, and we started doing that rather than doing this as part of our part of the show where we talk about all the things that we're doing. Now you get to see it on the intro. So hope you enjoyed that, okay? And also you'll learn as we go forward, you can cut past that because you've already seen it. So there you go. We want to get right into our PGA show. So what we've decided to do now, more of the sports are coming. Hockey's coming, PGA's coming. We're going to spread out the shows, PGA on Mondays, NFL on Tuesdays after we get to watch the Monday night game, and then basketball on Wednesday and hockey on Thursday because they're playing every night. So there's lots to talk about no matter what day of the week that we choose to do that. So, but golf is always Monday because it's coming after the end of an event. And we just had that, Joey, a special event this week with Tiger's the Hero Challenge, which is great to see all these top players around.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, obviously, it's his personal event, so, he's going to bring the top guys in the world, which is awesome, though, that they do come. It's usually their last event of the year, except now we've added the President's Cup for a couple of them. But, it is a great event. I've seen a couple guys actually kind of kick off a year at his event. Even though it's 18 players, they know it's great quality golf and at a great golf course. It's meant for the whole week is all about the charities, and they do lots of cool stuff. I saw them hitting golf shots in the street. They had lots of fun comedian stuff. They have parties every night. So it's a very cool event, I'm sure, for the players, the fans, and the charities. But it does jumpstart some seasons, and might be the case for Henrik Stenson, who got the W this weekend.
Well, and big for him, because it's been a little bit since he's been in contention. Good to see him win. We can't really say early because he might take time off now and start again in the new year. But certainly at the end of 2019 here, which is the beginning of the new season, see him playing well is good to see. Us old guys like to see some of the old guys still making it happen. But I do have to say, we say this all the time, because of where you are, 22 years old, and the game of golf overall has had a little bit of a lull. Especially at local golf courses, getting young players to come up and play more. We like to see players that are more impactful on those young people win, and certainly Spence is not that.
He's not that, but he is pretty well known. He's a great guy. There's nothing bad about him. He's, obviously won a major. Might not be Hall of Fame, but top guy in Europe too.
Yeah.
Something like this, though, I don't think is a win that's going to really change golf anyway, so I think it's always good for a guy like that to kind of get himself back on track and back in the mix. He is an older player. He might be someone who impacts seniors tour a lot too. He's one of those guys that could be one of them.
Yeah, and he'll likely play in it, which is good.
He's pretty healthy at his age. Obviously, can hit it very far. Although could tell on the PGA Tour for quite a while now. But I just think it's an event that if a young guy won, which there wasn't many in there really when you think of his invites, that it was okay to see him win at his age. It's going to be good for him. He had the great battle of Phil to win the British Open. And I think you want to talk about impactful for Sweden. I bet this is still a decent win for them, as he is really their only golfer representing their country. So
that's a good point. I mean,
that's something to think about all the time. Is that since he is literally the only one, you got a couple guys popping up here or there, but the consistent one from Sweden, it probably does impact them, even though it doesn't matter to us over here. Tiger's 18-player event.
Yeah, I think that's a good point you make there about impacting his home country, which is great. Golf is certainly becoming, if it's not already, a worldwide sport. But the level of play worldwide now is amazing.
Yeah,
they spend this season and the FedEx Cup, they spend it overseas almost exclusively in the last probably 7 or 8 weeks, I guess. They've been over there. And so getting this sport known around the world is really important. So, yeah, I'd have to give it to you there that this is probably an okay win for the game of golf at home. Not so much here in America. But it was almost a big event for Americans when Tiger looked like he might have a shot.
Yeah, obviously that would have been great. I mean, it wouldn't have tied him with Sam Snead. This is one of the events that does not count towards his total, as he has won it already 6 times.
Yeah.
I think in a way it's kind of a good thing he didn't win, only because the hype just would be continued. Obviously, he doesn't care because he's had hype his whole life.
Yeah.
I think it was a good week. I think, as the host, it would have been always cool to win, and we're always sure when Tiger wins. I think him being near the lead was good enough, really made it exciting. So, I think it's a win overall for this event. Nothing to look into too much, really.
Yeah, I agree 100%. However,
although there is one thing,
however, golf, we've spent our whole life in the game of golf as well as other sports. Every other sport seems to have a controversy about rules, about, this and that, player challenges, all these kinds of things. Golf has been pretty sedentary mostly, but thank God for Patrick Reed, because this guy is a kind of media juggernaut. I mean, this guy is always in trouble. There always has to be one. There really hasn't been a whole lot in the game of golf, but he certainly is the guy. And boy, cheating concerns this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, it was a pretty ugly scene. If you don't know what we're talking about, just Google it. But he was caught for cheating. Has not apologized. It was pretty blatant. He did it twice.
And did it last year in the same tournament. And the same thing.
I mean, it's unfortunate. I mean, no one really likes this guy, and you can kind of see why. And he doesn't help himself out. Obviously, he doesn't want to help himself out. Like some people say, he feeds off this stuff. It's almost, I don't know if he does it on purpose or what, but obviously it was cheating. It was blatant. It was obvious. He was already in the lead of the tournament, so you definitely knew he was on camera. It wasn't one of those situations where, I mean, like, come on. I don't know. It's just really dumb and not smart going into a team event, especially because his teammates aren't even happy with him, because it is about the integrity of golf. No one agrees with his stance on it. So it definitely makes this week a difficult one for the American team. And unfortunately, we'll take over some news at the President's Cup. We're really supposed to be celebrating your country and having some fun country-on-country tournament play and atmosphere and stuff like that. It's bad. I think something needs to be done here. I'd like him not in the President's Cup, only because I'd like the news not to be about it. But I think if you got him out of it, it might be bigger than what the breaking the rule is.
I agree with you.
It's a tough situation.
It's a no-win situation because unfortunately all they're talking about today is him. It may carry into the whole President's Cup, as you say. But if Tiger stepped up and removed him from the team, that'd even be a bigger story. So I think it's really a no-win for Tiger. It's going to take up a lot of the media, unfortunately. I'm hoping that by Tuesday it's over. But because he hasn't come forward and apologized, they're asking everybody about it. So it's unfortunate. Yesterday, Rory was on the Golf Channel for 2 hours. They obviously spent a lot of time on it. I thought Rory's, I don't know if you read the thing, but I loved Rory's response to it. He said, look, there's a lot of things that go on. We call penalties on ourselves. He said, when I looked at it in regular speed compared to looking at it in slow motion, it was possible that he may not have seen it happen. It was in a waste area. So for those of you that are golf fans, but you may not have come across this at your local club or the rules, there's sand waste areas and then there's bunkers. So what's the difference between the two, Joe?
Well, obviously in waste bunkers, you can do almost whatever you want. You can ground your club, take a practice swing, feel the sand. It's more of just like a penalty area type of situation where it's just, kind of free-for-all from the fact that the sand's usually not as good as the bunker sand. It's usually in the fairway area, so you're taking a full swing. It's not raked. So
it's usually like 100 yards long.
100 yards long. It's not raked. You can ground your club. That's the biggest thing. You can ground your club, and that's how he was able to do this. Obviously, more than if he was in a regular bunker, since you can ground your club anyway, there's no way he could move it. My beef is the second swing at the hill is obviously the problem. The first one, I can maybe say he had his club behind, he looked up, he moved his club maybe. But it was the second swing, went back and did it again. Also, it was a decent amount of sand that was moved.
Well, you can see the sand behind the ball, and it was flat afterwards.
It was flat afterwards, could easily get his club down behind the ball, which was his goal, because it was like a longish bunker shot, but he was going to probably hit sand first. Also, it's a repeat offender. It's also a guy who's controversy. So,
last year.
I don't buy Rory. I mean, he was taking the political approach. I definitely respect that. It's not Rory's position to have to go out and make a statement. I know he also doesn't want to make a crazy statement that would then take over the President's Cup as well. Because if he came out and said something juggernaut of like, he's a horrible person or something like that, that would even take over more. Like we talked about, if Tiger cut him from the team, that might be worse.
Yeah.
So it's a tough situation. It'll be talked about. Hopefully he fixes it. I'm upset at him that he didn't apologize. I think it hurts the game of golf a little bit. He actually went after how he was treated like he's the victim all of a sudden, which I really hate.
That's the way he does it, though. He's an attacker personality.
I've met a couple people like this. I just feel like, someone like him, I'd hope he taught a lesson. I would kick him off the President's Cup team. I think it'd make it a happier vibe around the President's Cup and the American team themselves. It's going to be very awkward for them. But something needs to be done. I mean, he's not a great person for golf right now. Blatantly breaking the rules when golf's supposed to be the fact you call rules on yourself.
Yeah, and we've talked about that.
True.
And we've seen it happen. However, interestingly enough, you and I talked about the fact that Tiger's actually had 4 rule penalties in his career too. So, there's a little bit of, here's one of the things that golf has a real challenge with is they have a lot of rules, which they've been trying to change the last couple of years here to make it easier. I don't think there's any doubt that he was cheating. He's just his personality. He's been called on it before. But that's what Rory was trying to say a little bit in his interview, is that, you're in one of these waste bunkers. You can ground the club. You can do a lot of things. You can have your head turned a little bit. It seems obvious what he did, but the waste area, we've found that it's a difficult place to be. But there is one staple rule in golf: you cannot improve your lie. He was obviously doing that.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen Tiger's penalties in the past. They have gone through, and one of them the ball was moving his backswing. He did not stop his backswing, hit the ball. Honestly, that actually hurt him more than it helped him anyway. So he got a penalty shot, and the shot was crap because the ball was moving and he didn't stop his swing. I can see how that could happen. The one time at the Masters where people remember he dropped 2 feet behind the mark, he thought that was fine within a circle. You're supposed to drop as close as you can to the pitch mark. He admitted in an interview by accident, yeah, I dropped it 2 feet behind the mark. That could be a misplace of the rules. Most people blame his caddy for not telling him, no, it has to be literally your best chance to be as close as you can. He said he did it because he didn't want the ball to go in the divot, which I would think is fine too. And he went backwards. He did not go closer. He went backwards. Right. That's a nitpicky rule. So there's rules that people get caught. When DJ got penalized, he grounded his club in a piece of sand. Every piece of sand was supposed to be bunker. He didn't know that. Again, didn't even help him either. Yeah. That's all fine. This was blatant and improving your lie in a rule we all know, and in a waste bunker, and he did it twice. Again, I get once. Well, man, I put my club down and then I went to pick it up and I just had a brain fart. But then even come out and say that and apologize. Didn't do that either. Yeah. And anytime someone tries to blame someone else or blame the way he's been treated based on what they know they did wrong means they're more guilty than ever. Yeah. I feel
just ask Matt Kuchar last year with the cat. You need to come out and say it.
Yeah, you're guilty, and that's why you start finding other ways to turn off yourself. If you own up to it, I have more belief that you maybe did just have a simple brain fart.
Well, I would like to have seen him say, now that I've seen it in slow motion, I regret that it happened. I didn't think I'd done anything wrong at the time. That's all he had to say, actually. I mean, unfortunately it's him. He's been mouthy about the Ryder Cup. He's mouthy about lots of stuff. He's not a light guy, so you knew that they were going to go after him. But not taking onus, it could have been as simple as, now I see the slow motion. It was obvious to me that it happened. I apologize. I got my penalty and I moved on. That's all he would have had to say. But this whole thing about trying to not make it look like it even happened, I think everybody's turned on him. And it's going to make it difficult for Tiger to put a pairing together. As you and I talked about yesterday, Tiger's going to probably have to play with him as captain of the team because no one else will want to play with him. He called out the pairings at the Ryder Cup. So now, even as a captain, Tiger steps up to that wall too.
Well, yeah, and I think, Spieth's not on the team either. Although they had a falling out, so I wouldn't think they'd go back together.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting. I think, that's something I want to get into is talk about the President's Cup, possible pairings and matchups. But quickly on him, with the rule and everything, I suspect he plays one time with a partner and then plays the singles matches, which, by the way, would not be abnormal. There's many guys that have only played one match in a singles match in a President's Cup or Ryder Cup. So even though we would know that it's because of his personality, because of what he does on the golf course, for the reason why he'd only play one match compared to some players who just don't get the opportunity, maybe aren't like that great that year, whatever, or going into the tournament, it's not a huge punishment. It's been done before. So I think if he plays them once, then plays the singles, I don't think it would be blown out of proportion in the media. That should be expected. And I believe the one time will be with Tiger Woods. As Tiger Woods, if anyone can handle controversy better than anybody I've ever seen in any sport, who's dealt with the worst and the best of all time as far as media goes. So he'll play a Tiger one time, and then he'll play a singles match, and it's something that will hopefully move on fast for golf because it's not something golf needs right now when 99% of golf news is positive.
Yeah, exactly. I agree 100%. And Joey, so let's wrap this one up, and we were talking about the next story, but I got one here I thought was pretty cool. It won't take us long to talk about. I just want to mention it because you may not have seen it in the news that Tiger and his caddy, Joe Cavaglia, sat down and actually watched the last round of the Masters. Yeah. They're talking about the fact, Tiger never seemed like a guy who was emotional over his wins. He was like a machine all the time. He won, he moved on. But it was kind of an interesting story to hear that they went back to that. Tiger's reaching that age when you never know when the last one's going to be, and they kind of sat down over a pop or a beer and watched that final round. So I thought that was kind of a cool story to hear that they're soaking that in, and Tiger's getting the age where he needs to do that.
Well, it is, and I think it's, he's someone who we always talk about, probably felt invincible through most of his life, right? And then all of a sudden it's broken and you gain it back. I mean, He does deserve to watch that final round. He should relish the moment. That's what the word I was thinking of. And it was maybe the greatest moment golf has truly ever seen. Honestly, I think it's bigger than when Jack won at 46. I mean, the stuff he went through to come back and really kind of embarrass himself at one point to people saying he was embarrassing himself, telling him to his face that he should retire. So I'm glad he did do that, and it'd be interesting to hear his take further. But I think that's great. And hey, I tell you one thing, he's going to win a lot more. I mean, he's looking very good as of late, and I think maybe another major is definitely in his sights. For sure, but that's an interesting story. But I'm glad at his older age, as most people do, he's kind of softening up a bit and needs that. And probably needs it as motivation too, believe it or not, for a guy who's as successful as him.
Well, it's funny too. We're talking about on the Golf Channel about his race to Jack's major record, and they said the funny part is he's 43 years old and he actually has to have a career that almost other players would have for the whole career. In the next couple of years, he's win four majors, and people say most people don't ever win 4 majors, and he has to do it at 43 years old. You and I checked through. I saw it in a golf magazine. The fact that over 43, no one's won multiple majors over the age of 43. So I mean, he's the greatest golfer ever played the game, but age is against him. There's no doubt about it.
Well, even if you just want to talk about this kind of official comeback. He has 3 wins. A tour championship, a major, and the biggest event over in Japan. So already that's
a career.
That's more than most people's career to begin with. The one major would be amazing. The one win. We don't get it very often, and when we do, we put a lot of pressure on these types of athletes, whether it's LeBron, Kobe, Michael Jordan, or in this case, Jack and Tiger. So, if anyone's going to do it, it's going to be him. And there's this belief that people are kind of born to do stuff like this, and he's definitely one of them, and I'm interested to see how he goes on. But, we can go through many moments of Tiger's career. I watched that Chase of 81 where he won 6 tournaments in a row, where his slump was when he went 4 weeks without a win, and then he won. He goes, that was a quick slump, wasn't it? I mean, it's what he's made of. It's kind of why he's probably put in the game of golf. You believe in golf gods and fate and whatever. There's just these people, and I do hope that he breaks one of the 2 records. I think he'll break Sam Snead in no time. Definitely this season.
The way he started this year.
The major record, I think it will either end in a perfect chance of his to do it. I think he'll definitely have the opportunity. I think he'll definitely get one more. I think he'll either end on a tie, end one behind, or win by 1. I don't think it'll be any more than that. I don't see him not getting to 17. I don't see him going more than 19. It's going to be one of those things. It's going to be a great finish to what was definitely maybe the most interesting career in sports.
Without a doubt. And I think we can almost count on maybe 2 Masters. That's going to be the key. Jack won the Masters at 46. It is the kind of golf course that you can spray it a bit, and it's all about putting, and he's back to putting like number 1 like he has been his whole career. I think that's his opportunity. 2 majors and pulling on another one to get to a tie.
Well, I'll tell you what.
I don't know if you can get to 4 more. Maybe.
As far as I'm concerned, U.S. Opens and British Opens are gone. U.S. Opens is because I don't believe he can hit straight for 4 days, and British Opens is I don't think his body can handle the cold.
You need the perfect week for him to be able to.
No, I know people are going to say Tom Watson this, and Tiger could be a specialty with his veteranism. I just think he'll always be too cold. He'll never be able to handle an early tee time on Thursday or Friday.
Putting over there.
He's never liked the putting. So when you really look at it, you look at the PGA Championship, which is virtually a setup of a regular golf course most of the time. The odd time they really toughen it. Like they did this year, but most of the times it is just a typical setup, maybe a little harder than the regular tournament, so he's definitely can play those ones, and then obviously the Masters for sure, but I think those are the only 2 majors each year he even knows that he has a chance at, because he knows he can't play a U.S. Open, and he can't lay off a driver anymore because of distance. So he has to go to the driver, and there's no way 4 days will make it. And the British Open, I think whenever he has an early tee time, he's definitely in trouble with how cold it will be on his body. And again, he already hates the green. So then you take all that into account.
Well, he needs a perfect week there in the British Open, or the Open as we want to call it. He needs perfect weather. He needs sunshine, so they're faster greens than normal. Everything has to come together for him to win a British Open, I think. So without a doubt, it's got to be 2 Masters and maybe 1.
I think he win a PGA. Like I said, he can go to town on a PGA Championship. I think you'll see his best chances And this tough part for golf is they're the back-to-back majors.
Yeah,
so he's always going to go
now.
The Masters, maybe one event in between, and then play the PGA, or skip all the events and just go straight to the PGA.
You know what?
It's going to be difficult.
You're making a point, not knowing you're making a point, but the new schedule in the majors actually hurts Tiger. Because he used to have Masters in April, 2 months off to get ready for the next major. That's not the case anymore.
More importantly, the other major he probably had the best chance to winning was the last one.
Yeah.
He could literally take his time getting ready for that.
Yeah.
He can't now. Unfortunately, I think his best chance after the match, which I've already said is the PGA, is the PGA though. It's right after it, and he won't want to play going from the Masters PGA. He will never want to do it. He might throw in Wells Fargo depending on his body every now and then throughout the years till he retires.
Yeah.
But that PGA is always going to be difficult for him to win unless he misses a cut at the Masters or something like that, or has lots of energy, whatever the feeling might be. But if he's ever close to the Masters, or if he wins another Masters, he'll never go back-to-back on a PGA Championship. He'll just... I think if he ever wins a major, he's going to take every event off after that.
After that, yeah.
I think he's only going to gear up for the major, which is not out of the norm for me to say. Everyone's probably saying it. But unfortunately, yes, I think his best chance to win another major would be PGA, and it's going to be right after the Masters, which is going to hurt him in the long run.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Hey, let's stay on Tiger. He's the number one conversation. He's number one player. He's now going into the President's Cup here as the playing captain. For me, I think it's wrong. I think he should step aside as the captain. He's got 4 assistant captains over there. I think he needs to stay focused. He's never been a tremendous Ryder Cup player. In President's Cup is a little bit different because they just win so easily, but they do not win when they leave the States. They lost in Australia the last time. So, I think he should be focused either on being the captain, so take himself out of play, or take himself out of being the captain so he can focus on his play and help the Americans.
Well, I can tell you, picking apart his interviews, Steve Stricker is going to run this team, and he's going to be the Ryder Cup captain. So, him and Stricker, we know they're like this, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Stricker's helped Tiger in his putting in his prime to beat Steve Stricker himself in some events. So, they're like that. So they're running the team together, which really means Stricker's going to run it unless Tiger's having a day off, and he'll get involved, right? I can tell you this, I bet he plays twice the team event. So first of all, on Saturday, he will play once on Saturday. He will not play back-to-back. So I think he plays once on Saturday. I also am going to say he plays Friday. I think Thursday he will not play. I doubt it's their biggest coverage day, being a Thursday. Also, it is the first day of the President's Cup. It's less necessary for Tiger to play in that because people are excited for the President's Cup. So I think you'll see him play on Friday, once on Saturday, as they do 2 sessions on Saturday. His body cannot take it whether he wanted to play or not. And then he will play on Sunday. So you'll see Tiger 3 days out of the 4. And I think it'll be very interesting. But I'm not too worried about his focus. Like you talked about the assistant captains. He's not going to take his name off being the captain because if it is a victory, they want it to be Tiger. And they want Tiger to be captains going forward. So it's important that he has a win under his belt as a captain. Also, it is a cool history. There's only one other person to ever do it. Hal Irwin.
Hale Irwin.
Hale Irwin was a playing captain.
Way back in my day.
So they're not going to take the captaincy away from him because they want it to be him the only other playing captain. They also want to be successful. He's going to give to Steve Stricker, which is fine. It's going to work out, and Steve Stricker's going to get a good taste for what is going to be the Ryder Cup in the future next year in his hometown of Wisconsin. So it's just going to work out good. That's what the President's Cup, unfortunately, kind of is, although I do believe it'll be a good test down in Australia for the American side. I do believe the international team might pull out a victory, but definitely have a good run this year. But yeah, I think there's nothing to be too worried about him being both, and it is a history thing to be talked about. But I'd suggest being prepared to not see him on Thursday, probably see him Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Obviously.
Well, he'll never play both matches in a day for sure.
Well, President's Cup is different, right?
You're right.
People in the Ryder Cup are thinking. In the Ryder Cup, they play 2 on Friday, 2 on Saturday. They play 1 Thursday, 1 Friday, 2 Saturday, and then singles on Sunday here. But I am saying I believe he'll skip Thursday, only because the hype of the event's enough to get people to tune in on the Thursday anyways without him playing. So he doesn't need to do it kind of for TV. Plus, I think it would be their lowest day, obviously, of viewership of TV. So Friday, though, he's got to play, and I think Saturday he's going to play one of the 2, and then obviously Sunday singles, he'll tee it up. So it'll be a good week, but that's the schedule I anticipate for Tiger. And, the funny thing is, Ernie Els was joking, saying, He wanted to come over just to play Tiger in a one-on-one singles match. I think Ernie
He
should
should've
do it
done
on
it.
Sunday.
Yeah,
he could do it on Sunday.
Why not?
He hasn't played enough, but I think that would
Yeah.
have been something because the last time they played was a tie. So.
Yeah, it would. You know what? I agree with that. And this one has to be more of an entertainment event. It doesn't have the mystique of the Ryder Cup. It doesn't have the history of the Ryder Cup. The U.S. has trounced the internationals. I would have loved to have seen that as just a captain's game. Maybe take it out of the scoring even and just have the two captains play. I think this one is much more like that for entertainment. But anyway, we're looking forward to it coming up this weekend. It's amazing.
It is. And real quick, I want to give my analysis on the international team. I've mentioned this before. The only chance the internationals have, and I've mentioned it probably on 2-3 shows briefly, I want to mention it at the end here, is they got to put countries together. They got to put players from the same country. They got to put it together. They have to somehow build a camaraderie with a bunch of different countries. The only way to do that is have say it for me.
What are you trying to
camaraderie.
Oh, camaraderie.
Within the twosome.
Yeah.
Okay, because you can never get.
First of all, they need to speak the same language.
That's my point.
Is a challenge.
That's my point, though. You can never have enough camaraderie
Yeah.
on the international team through all 12 of them.
Yeah.
So instead, focus on camaraderie between the two people you send out to play the Americans. And in my mind, the best way to do that is to have the same country in the same group, and they can do that for the most part. It's going to be impossible to do in every match.
Yeah.
With Hadwin being the only Canadian, Neiman being the only player from Chile. I believe Abraham Answer's playing. He's from Mexico. So it's a little difficult, but there's enough to put the Koreans together, the Australians together. I think there's 2 South Africans. That's a key, and I think Ernie Els needs to consider it.
No doubt about that. I think you're exactly right. I think also, and maybe they're doing this, I actually haven't read that they are, but they need to do like the European does. They need to have dinners together. They need to build some kind of want to win. Bring this group together a little bit more than this is what the Europeans do before they play Ryder Cup, right?
They do that. They have team meetings, they have team dinners, they have the big stuff on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, actually, that the team has to attend to anyways, and so do the Americans. But they do all that stuff. It's just hard when you have, I think there's probably 3 or 4 Koreans now on this team. So you have 3 or 4 players that might not even be able to speak English.
Yeah.
I know Joaquin Neiman can speak English, came to college here. Abraham Hamster's all good there too. But I'm just saying, I think because even if you have as many team dinners as you want, there's always going to be little cliques in the international team. There's always going to be, the Australian guys want to hang out. Jason Day and Adam Scott, they've known each other forever. The Korean guys, they want to hang out. They want to be together. They know each other. And then, you're going to have some odd ones, like I said, Hadwin being Canadian, but he can get along with Abraham Hanser. I mean, he's basically American these days. Joaquin Neiman is basically
we're
American.
Canadians. We get along with everybody.
Yeah, Louis who stays in his South African, whatever, that's fine. But my point is that you're going to have little cliques, and I think the one time it worked was in Korea when they almost beat the Americans. The Koreans had a great run there. They did a great job, but they played together. They had a little camaraderie. And Hideki Matsuyama was the main staple of that team, which got the crowd on the side too.
Right.
Adam Scott, Jason Day, and Mark Leishman need to be your poster boys because it's in Australia. And Cameron Smith, he is on the team as well. And you got to put them out as twosomes. You put Cameron Smith and Leishman together. You put Scott and Day out there. You put them out as your first 2 twosomes. You get Australia on your side. You have Australians together. And you build camaraderie just between the twosomes because between all 12, he has an impossible task to get them all hyped for each other. It's very, very difficult.
Now, the one thing I want to mention, and I have to be honest, even for me, this event is not that big. Like, I haven't followed it like I would a Ryder Cup. And I don't know, maybe they have been, but my suggestion would have been is they should have been in Australia all week playing practice rounds with each other.
They were.
Oh, they were, okay.
Because the Australian Open was there.
Yeah.
And almost.
But I know that's why they're there, but have they been able to play with each other?
Yes, and part of it is because, and this is how I'll tell you how undermanned the international team is, none of them got invited to Tiger's event.
I know.
Right?
That's why I was thinking they should have been there practicing with each other.
Yeah, so they were out in Australia. A lot of them were already. I don't know how many rounds they played or whatever, but they do all this. I think it's just tough because, Europe gets the crowd on their side. America gets their crowd on their side. That's why I think it's important when they were in Korea. I'm blanking on who the captain was. I know the American captain, funny enough. I'm blanking on who the international captain was. But it just felt like the Koreans were there because Matsuyama was there, and they put him out there, and he played almost every match. And they were fired up for Sun Moon Bae to end up having to go to the military, but he was involved in that one. I unfortunately had a close putt to possibly, tie it, right, and share the cup. I'm just saying you're right. They have to do that. They have to get the crowd on their side. That's the only thing they're missing that Europe and America get is a simple crowd because the crowd helps the players. It helps defeat the other players. That's why I think he has to put Australians out to make a big deal. I think you can play as many practice rounds as you want, have as many team meetings. If you don't get a crowd on your side, and it's supposed to be your home crowd, and yet the person who get the most cheers is on the other team in Tiger Woods, it's tough. It's tough.
It's almost unfair they're taking Tiger. He's like so many of these icons. Like in hockey, the Toronto Maple Leafs, our home team, even though they haven't won a cup 50 years, still so many. They're part of the original six. They're part of the heroes. Everywhere they go, they get cheered. You look at New England, you look at the Lakers, all these teams, no matter how good or bad they are, people cheer for them. Tiger's like that too, and he's playing well coming in. Right. Which is going to help the Americans because he's going to get lots of attention because of that. So anyway, I'm glad they got over there. I hope that helped. The Australian Open the week before is something unique for these guys to get over there and be able to play because they're not playing in Tiger's event.
Their biggest favor right now is time change.
Yeah, exactly. Hopefully the Americans a little bit jet lag.
It's their biggest benefit, and DJ hasn't played in about 4 months. Brooks had to withdraw, though. You put Ricky Fowler in.
Yeah.
Well, a tough switch there. But yes, your biggest gift right now is hopefully jet lag. Yeah. And if I was the international team, I would have delayed him at the airport and tried to.
Well, just like this week, we'll talk about in our NFL show where the Patriots try to get all the equipment from Baltimore left on the plane and going to a wrong city and whatever. So, or Kansas City, sorry about that. Kansas City, we'll talk about that in the NFL. But yeah, hopefully they've done some stuff. I just want to close. I don't even really care who wins. But I'd like the action to be better than it has been a lot of these events. So we'll see what happens.
They've been close over in the other cities.
But I do want to, we're getting to the end of 2019. President's Cup is going to be it. I want to talk some stats here. I saw a story which is kind of interesting. I want to quickly mention Bubba Watson's upset about not being put on the President's Cup team at 41 years old. He's had a really up and down last couple of years, won some tournaments, but not been good in lots of cases. I just read an article from him today about how he's upset about the fact he wasn't put on the team.
Well, I know he's more upset about the fact he wasn't even considered as a captain.
Yeah.
I think he should always be a captain or a player. At this point, more a captain than a player.
Yeah.
But he has repped the American side, and the biggest moment maybe for the American team was 2011 when he got the crowd to cheer while he hit a ball.
Yeah.
I remember that talked about for 2 years until the next Ryder Cup, and he continued to do it. I do agree he should be upset. He should be a captain or he should be playing. Regardless of what you think of his game, he's an energizer. He's a true American. Sorry, I don't want to piss off Americans. They're all true Americans. Yeah. But he really hypes them. It's like when Ricky wasn't counted. These guys love it more than some of the other guys that I feel like don't care. So I feel like he should be
100%, and he expressed that today.
I don't blame him.
I think it was a little bit of a story that they should have, and they could have added him as an assistant once Tiger was playing.
How hard is that?
Whatever, right?
Assistant captains have 12 of them.
Yeah.
What's the point? The point is that they're there to rep the event, and he's someone that would promote the event, would have fun while he's there, mix up with the Australian crowd, could probably drink with the best of them, and is the only one who has as much chest hair as Australian men. I think he would have been a good addition, but I don't blame him for that.
I agree 100%. Hey, listen, I was just talking about the fact that, let's say in 2019, I'm just reading a report for players in this past year, who's done the most and who's done the least. So, the worst, unfortunately, and it's just pure age, is Phil. Is 10% worse this year. He fell the most of any player. I think we know the reason. It's unfortunate to see these greats get to this point, but Phil is definitely there. Also, Sergio Garcia, he was second worst, and we just talked about Bubba, he was third worst. So there's a whole bunch of guys in their 40s now, obviously falling off on the talent side of things. It's sad to see something like this happening, but you just can't do it anymore.
Well, yeah, and I think, someone like Phil, I think it's more around, he's trying to make changes to try to win again.
Yeah.
Possibly win a U.S. Open or Masters. I mean, I don't know how that's going to work out. I think that's obviously very risky, at his age. But it is Phil for you, so he's trying to hit it longer, and he's trying to, a couple other things, lost some weight. So he obviously thinks that's the key to maybe getting one last major before he hangs it up. I don't think he'll play on the Seniors Tour because of arthritis and all the stuff that you get nowadays from trying to hit it far. Bubba Watson's not surprising. I mean, he goes up and down with his golf ball all the time, and I think, obviously, kind of he had a great career, but it was really around 4 or 5 tournaments anyway.
Yeah.
So him to contend, if he's not contending at those tournaments, it's already tough for him. But he's someone who might win a Masters at 43 years old because all he has to do is have it work with his putter, have the course play a little extra longer. He hits that bleeding fade as a lefty, so that makes sense. And Sergio Garcia, I don't know what his mental game was all about this year, but I think that's more mentally for him. I think he can bounce back if he gets happier. I mean, he was so miserable I thought there might be something that comes out of his personal life. I don't know.
I was waiting for a suspension. I mean, hitting into greens and all the antics that went on with him this year. Who knows what was happening? I think obviously he has the game. He didn't win. It was the Masters not too long ago, so he's still a player who can put up the numbers.
Yeah.
But he had a pretty decent year. He had a terrible year 3 years ago, then a pretty decent year, and then this past year dropped off.
I'll tell you what, with all three of these guys, it depends how they wake up every morning. And one year might be great, one year not. But they're all just hoping for a week, and hopefully that week's at a big time event, and that's all they really want and that's all they're really working towards. So you're going to see these guys continue to fall off the map a little bit, but then all of a sudden they could pop up and win a major, and that's all they're hoping for. I guarantee if you interviewed them, that's why they're kind of falling off, is they're trying to just get that one week, one more time.
So here's a funny one for you. The next in line is slow play.
Oh, God.
All the work they did on slow play, it actually got 7% worse in this past year. So with all that talk, all these changes got 7% worse. You know what? We've been proponents of this. I don't care how long it takes them to play a round of golf. Golf is the greatest TV sport there is, so they can take as long as they want. Why does anybody care? I know TV coverage might care, but whatever. Start expanding TV.
The players care. I mean, first of all, they do struggle to get players in on time. I know their biggest anger is when play gets suspended to darkness, drives players nuts, because that's exactly what slow play is. Right. Unless there was weather, it's usually, if it gets suspended, I know people hate that. So that's step one. Step two is people take it too literal and will go take more time themselves, which is the biggest problem about recreational golfers. And another situation is, it just has a bad rap. And I think at the end of the day, they've handled it, for one thing, by actually not allowing as many players to make the cut. So that's helping. That's helping. Unfortunately, it hurts the players. Instead of just picking your pace up, now you force them to go eliminate players from possibly making a paycheck. Although I do like the fact, now if you make a cut, you're guaranteed a check, where last year they had a thing, you still had to play on Saturday, and you could not make a check even by getting the third round, because they have to let so many guys through. So I'm okay with that rule. That should pick up pace of play. All it is 5 guys that they just need a guy to get in his ear and tell him to move the hell along.
They should have marshaled for these guys and be talking.
It's overblown. It's overblown, as most things are in most sports. It gets overblown, then it gets fixed, and hopefully it's one of those situations, because this year was ridiculous.
I just thought it was interesting that it was a couple years ago this got to be a real issue, and they actually got worse. Now, the other guy that, if you follow our shows earlier in the PGA year, we were always cheering for Jordan Spieth to get back on his game. But he went backwards again. This is 2 years in a row he's gone backwards in his game. There seems to be nothing on the horizon that makes us think he's going to get better. This is really unfortunate for the game. Jordan should have been a guy chasing Jack's record. Could still do it. Still, I think 26 this year.
Only 25.
25 now. And so, we hope to see Jordan's game come together. He is way too mechanical. He's way too structured in his game. He's talking about it even a couple times. He's been on the mic, and you hear him talking, and he's got all these things going on in his head. I hope he sorts it out. But again, another down year for Spieth, and he had opportunities for records a couple years ago.
Still does. I mean, I think he's someone that can figure it out, and obviously, go on a tear, but his confidence is shot.
Yeah.
His life is too busy. I've said it before, voiced my opinion on the fact that he's the head of the Players Association. I don't like that for his career. He's also planning a wedding that unfortunately does not help your career.
I want to go back to that point, Joey. You're right. All of this started when he took on that role with the Players Association. We can pin it almost right back to that event happening.
Definitely.
People never understand how it consumes your life when you're the guy that every player is coming to. You're the guy that the PGA is coming to. You're the guy that TV is coming to about the sport, about changes that need to happen. People don't understand this. And you can trigger it right back to then once he lost confidence. Well, we all know about confidence in the game of golf, but because there's no one else out there to help you out. There's no teammates that are going to pick you up when you lose your confidence. And I would put it back to that day. Matter of fact, I'll bet we could go and take a look at when he took over that and exactly what happened. So that's unfortunate it's gone that path. But that's Jordan Spieth there. Now, the first lady is Lydia Ko, former number 1, had a down year this year. Jason Day, all injury, nothing there. And that's the top ones. Molinari had a down year, but just by 3%.
He went way down to the Masters.
Kuchar, it was down this year. It was all the controversy, obviously. Yeah. And Lexi Thompson fell a little bit as well.
Molinari is a funny story, because I saw an interview with him, and they were like, "What happened?" He goes, "I thought the Masters playing fine, and then it was gone."
Yeah.
And they said, "What do you think to that?" He goes, "I don't know."
Yeah.
It was just gone.
It's just confidence. It always is, right? Now let's talk about, as we close out this, let's talk about the rising players from this year. Guess who's number one?
Rory?
Oh, Tiger Woods. Come
Oh,
on,
Tiger.
You tell me every week how great Tiger's going to win every event. Tiger had the biggest gain this past year in amazing at 43 years old. Nothing must be said. Anybody watching here watched all of Tiger last year, I'm sure, like everyone else does. But another one, too, is Jin Young Ko. Was up as a, and second time in as many years, actually, swept all the majors and all the LPGA awards. So an amazing player.
Wow.
In addition to being world number one. So it looks like, as they're saying here, unlike previous number one, there seems to be no weaknesses in her game, and she seems unfazed by being in the top spot. So this may never stop for her. Number two was Brooks and Rory together, who were the next on the men's side, were the number one increases in their game this past year. Obviously, it's tough to move on the men's side.
I can't believe Brooks actually moved up, but anyways.
Well, you had again another major. He's in there, and they're separating themselves really from the pack. The next thing was interesting, Generation Next. So they took all the young players. They played at a 7% better clip than years ago. People are starting to pay a little more closer attention to next NCAA players. These guys are coming out and winning. This was not the tradition of the PGA in the past.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about that too, and I think it's, more opportunity now than maybe before. I think also, golf worldwide has become very difficult. I mean, these guys in college still face, guys from Spain and South Africa. I mean, John Rahm came over from Spain. I mean, how many would hear that 20 years ago? I mean, so college golf is very difficult nowadays. Lots of top golfers, so I'm not surprised that they come out and been successful. It's always about the second year for me, more than anything else. But I still think that obviously someone like Matt Wolff is going to have a great career.
Yeah.
Before we start talking like how great, I'd like to see him this year, and same with Colin Morikawa. But they're just playing tough college golf now with its worldwide golf.
They come out ready to go.
There's worldwide amateurs and they're ready to go. And the PGA Tours offer them the opportunity to be more ready and get lots of advantages too without having to go into web.com and PGA Tours.
We do have to mention, and you mentioned it quickly there about year two. We know a lot of guys get one win and that's all they get. Our Canadian pack has that as almost a jinx to win number two. So we're going to have to see more from these guys. But the young guys are coming out ready to play. Now, I really love this one. The Augusta National Women's Amateur now is a major, major focus. A good thing from Augusta. This was a very behind the world golf course and association, and African Americans were not allowed to be members. Women were not allowed to be members. This has been pulling people from the dark ages, and now Augusta has really come through, and this National Amateur Championship is really taking hold.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's funny that the men's National Amateur doesn't get to play, but they also get to play in the Masters.
Yeah.
I'm all for fairness. I mean, hey, if Augusta wants to open it up, I think it's great. I mean, honestly, I'm all for women playing I think they play their third round there, or the final round there, but on Saturday.
Yeah.
And they have the kids do the chip and putt, which might be the greatest invention they've ever made.
Yeah.
I'm all for it. I mean, it's golf and it's worldwide now. It's also male and female heavily driven, as much as not quite tennis, but it's definitely the second in female sports to be up there as a great career. I think of Brooke Henderson and the career she's been able to have financially, also just successfully.
Yeah. And going through college, and it's a great thing.
Yeah, it's great, and that they get to play around there. I think that's cool. And I mean, I know the men's will never play there because they get to play in the actual Masters, and that's fine too. I also think a lot more women give up the game sooner, so I think it's cool for them to get that opportunity, early in their life. I think it was great. It worked really well this year. I remember at least through 14 holes, I believe it was tied. The one girl went on to win pretty easily. She's apparently going to be quite the show on the LPGA Tour soon, I imagine. But I think it's great. I mean, they've done a great job with the dry chip and putt too. That's probably even bigger than the women's AM being there. I think of all these kids and all the pros. I'll give a shout out to them too. They're there. Yeah. I mean, they're there, and it's impressive. On Sunday, the week before the Masters, obviously most of them arrived the week before, and they're all there signing autographs, taking answers for these kids. So
supporting the
it's going to be a great deal.
Yeah, I thought it was. Hey, let's end the program and the year on probably the biggest comeback in the history of golf. We talked about Tiger being the biggest comeback, but Brendan Todd fell all the way to number 2,000 in the world. He talked about
Murphy.
never giving up. This, even he can't explain why it all happened to him, but he went back number 2,000 right at the end of the season here, picked up 2 victories. Just the most impressive comeback I think I've ever seen.
Definitely. Especially hearing from other former players that talked about the fact that they probably have quit and gotten a different job. And you hear those stories too. This one's even, more impressive than Tiger in a way, because he's a guy that doesn't have
The pedigree,
of Tiger, right? And obviously having family and all that stuff. But, hey, I tell you what, he did what everyone would do when you win $1 million. He kind of put the clubs in the back burner, was so happy to have 3 years, not needing to practice as much, not needing to do this as much, not needing to do that as much, thinking I just won $1 million, I have 3 years on tour. And this can happen. And he totally lost focus. Then he starts to lose confidence. Then he starts to shank it. Eventually hits rock bottom, and here he is back, though, with 2 wins, and, his card's secure for another 3 years. It's impressive. I can't imagine that journey, of being there, then being not even on that tour, but not being on the web.com either, which now the Corn Ferry Tour, and being on another tour below that, and going all the way back up. I mean, I tell you, that's resilience. That's the definition.
Who's the guy who used to be on the PGA Tour and is shanking the ball and comes back from that?
Him and Kevin Kisner.
Amazing.
Kevin Kisner didn't make the PGA Tour, but he was another one that was contemplating quitting golf and got a tip from a friend from back home. We went to go play for fun. And look at his career. Golf's just like that. That's why it's probably the toughest sport in the world. There's no contracts. There's no forgiveness for having a bad year, and obviously you see Todd. And
it's not like basketball and you have a bad couple of years, but you do still get your
pay,
10, 15 a year.
Brendan Todd
was making no money
because he's not getting sponsorship money, guys.
No money.
So he's missing cuts. He ain't making anything.
Yeah,
and
pretty amazing. So anyway, I wanted to mention, and I will mention the others that are here: Kelly Korda, John Rahm, who we know is going to be a superstar in golf, obviously.
Yeah, Kelly Korda's
Bernd Wiesberger, names that you won't hear a whole lot. And Patrick Cantlay, who we love. We think Patrick has the chance to be one of the next great golfers.
Great story. Really should have been on tour a lot younger.
Yeah.
Back injuries, car accident. So he's finally been able to get that under control, and he's a guy to watch going forward. Unfortunately, is 27, 28 years old now. So it won't be like a record-breaking thing.
Lots of careers are starting at that age now.
Definitely.
So there you are. That's the PGA, man. Lots to talk about. We haven't done a PGA show in a little while. We got the President's Cup coming up this week, so we'll be talking about that next Monday. Then they will take some time off over the Christmas season. There'll be some events happening, but most of the big guys will be at home.
They're completely done until first week of January. We get Tournament Champions.
Tournament Champions, which will be great in Hawaii. Wish we could go watch it live.
By the way,
get that up too.
Real quickly too, I hated this date for the President's Cup. I thought it was really lame. I kind of like it now. I think it's a great way to cap off the season. I think it's getting more attention than it did if it went right after the FedEx Cup. And I think it was another smart play by this great commission PGA Tour has, who's made some fantastic changes, including the majors that, as a fan, I'm a fan of. As a player, a different story. But this is another one where I don't care what the players say. This was a great move, and it's going to be tough when they play in the States for climate issues. But they can just keep it on the West Coast,
go West Coast
and they'll be fine. But I just want to say, I do feel my attention to this more intriguing because there's not much going on right now because NFL is mostly not done, but it's already into its season. It's not the hype of when it used to go. It was literally like the first week in NFL too, and basketball was just starting, and hockey was just. They're all kind of going now. So now to throw in a big golf event, people are having to take a little break from hockey, a little break from basketball, even a little break from football to go watch some golf. I think
and a lot of the guys played in the last 6-7 weeks.
So they're ready to go these days.
Overseas. So the events over there really got kind of some extra stars out there because of the fact they got the President's Cup coming up. So a genius move for golf, a great season for golf. Like I say, we'll look forward to talking. Our last report will be Monday next week, and we'll look forward to an exciting President's Cup coming up. And enjoy your week. We'll talk to you soon.
You're going opposite sides. My bald spot's here. Your bald spot's here.
Well, yours is not.